Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Royal Instinct. Today we are looking at a video about Justin Waller speaking to a therapist. Has he seeked out to speak to a therapist in order to calm him down, okay, after the media storm that he created after the release of the Manosphere documentary? What is Justin Waller up to? How has he handled the backlash that he has faced from the Manosphere documentary? Being one of the most ridiculed people on earth, on the planet. Let's see what he is about. Let's see what he is going through right now. Let's jump into the documentary.
You know what I think is hilarious about calling me gay and all of us?
And the first thing out of his mouth is that addressing the backlash and the negative comments surrounding his sexuality, about people calling him gay, about wearing the tightest suits, the tightest trousers, the tightest shirts in the universe, and looking like a caricature Johnny Bravo, okay, a cowboy Johnny Bravo. That is what he's going for. That is how he wants to be perceived, and he is addressing it straight at the bat. And he doesn't want you to think that he cares about the fucking haters. Okay, he encourages the haters. He wants to, have the internet literally hating him. Okay, and hate is something that is important. Okay, because the more people that hate you, the more people on the other side of the coin will find you and will love the shit that you are talking about. Okay, so it is important to have haters, and here we have Justin Waller justifying his homosexuality on air right now.
Who calls you gay?
This is where it comes.
And like, who the fuck calls him gay? Like, even like, this guy's clearly not gay. He's got, like, a wife. He's got maybe two wives, in a polygamous situation, right? Polyamory. He's not gay, but like, what's the fucking need to address it, right? Whatever this guy does, like, if he knows he's not gay, right, there's no need to address it. Like, who the fuck gives a shit what these random people on the internet think?
From they see something I say or one of my friends say, and immediately they think we're like homophobic or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
So because he speaks about homophobic things, things that can be construed, can be perceived as him being homophobic. The reverse psychology will be like, oh, you're being homophobic because you're secretly gay, okay, because you want to fuck other men. No, sometimes people just, a lot of the time, especially now on the internet, people just say shit for shock value. The other thing, I mean, for many people who grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, when you were saying that, oh, that, okay, you're being a little bit silly, you're being a little bit gay, right? Saying that you are being a little bit gay, that you are gay, what wasn't actually to say that, oh, you're sucking cock. It's more to say, like, oh, you're being a little bit stupid, right? Is it was a thing that people said at the time. Right now, it's not politically correct to say it anymore. And times move on, right? Like, language moves on. Nobody really says it anymore. It's like, okay, like, gay people are offended by it, let's not use that word. However, it was a great word to call someone a faggot, to call someone the gay, a gay, to say that you are gay. It was just a bit of banter. It was just a bit of fun, right? Like, obviously, if you're fucking closeted gay, it's not fun. Maybe you see it as a slur, but it's not. It's like, even the gay people, the homosexuals are, embracing it. They are using it in jest.
fault argument at just pure. You can tell it's fury.
I understand.
It comes at you like a
Thank you so much.
like a third grade argument.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Thank you. Well.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It is a third grade argument. It is like, like even now, like, a lot of the people on the left, like, they might point out, oh, because you are homophobic, you're being, you are a closeted homosexual, which is the allegation launched at Justin Waller here. But then for them to say, oh, because you're using that word, it means you're a closeted gay, like, that's also, kind of juvenile thinking, right? Like, people, especially now on the internet, where there aren't no more real consequences. We live in a time where, you can say and get away with saying whatever, the craziest shit online. You can do whatever it is that the fuck that you want to do, and people will lap it up. Okay, many people will just, they will, just kind of rebuttal you and come at you in the lowest form by assassinating your character, what you stand for, your values, right? All at the same time trying to preach that they are the person who's being, who's preaching, who's fighting for equality on all fronts. However, because you are the enemy, they want to destroy you. Where is the common sense in all this? On the internet, it does not exist.
Oh, you're a closeted homosexual. And I'm just like, I find that interesting that you will sit here and say you defend these people.
Yeah.
But then when you get angry at me, you say it to me as if it's just a derogatory
Yeah,
comment.
it's a slur.
Yeah, and exactly. So people throw it back at each other, saying like, "Oh, you are being the thing that you're doing," and they use it as okay, because you are the thing, it's a derogatory term now, right? Like many women will question you if that they'll say, "Oh, if you're not attracted to a woman, for example, let's say this scenario that you have a very attractive woman or whatever, just a normal woman, who is attracted to a man, to you, all right, to a man, she goes up to him, she kind of makes him the eyes, she gives him all the hints for him to try and hit on her. He's not interested, right? He's not interested in this particular woman for whatever reason. And then she'll just be like, outright like, oh, like, put it bluntly, she makes the offer like, do you want to sleep with me? Do you want to go out with me sometime? Take my number. And if the guy ever replies like, no, I'm okay. If the guy was to ever reject a woman, her first thing would be like, oh, is it because you're gay? Like, she literally throws it back at him, like a man can't find her unattractive, right? That he just has other preferences. It's like, no, like your sexuality gets questioned. I mean, no man in history has ever asked out a woman, okay, asked for a number, asked her to take her out a day and be like, hey, I think you're very attractive, like I would like to take you out sometime. And she's like, oh, no, I'm not interested. No man's ever returned and said, is it because you're a fucking lesbian? Like, do you get what I mean? Like, it's absolutely crazy. I'm sure there is like an example of a man saying it, but it's very rare. Whereas like it seems to be the default for a woman to question your sexuality. Okay, and then kind of like if you say no, you're not, and if she's offended by it, she will kind of then be like, oh no, it is because you're gay. Like, do you get what I mean? And she'll try to kind of belittle you, and then you have these women who who would to your face tell you that they're very liberal, that they're fighting for equality and for people's rights, but then they will make fun of the thing just because you rejected them, right? It is wild, the depths people will stoop down to.
Yeah, so how can you be on both sides of the fence?
Yeah.
It's like sticking up for black people and then using the N-word at me if you get angry.
Yeah.
It's like, something's disingenuous about that.
Are we rolling?
Yeah, and I think that the overall point is that a lot of the things that people do online, a lot of things that people do and say, it is very performative. Everything now is a performance to virtual signal. And many people just sick and tired of it, right? Like many people are sick and tired of, performative virtual signaling. It's like, yeah, look, man, like some people don't like each other. Some people are racist, as long as we're not fucking hurting each other, right? Like you can have whatever fucking opinion you want online, as long as it doesn't spill out into real life. Okay. And a lot of the time, that like, especially, in the early 2000s, right? Like there was still racism in the world. Okay. There was still, homophobia. There was still, was it misogyny, like whatever the thing is that something, there was something to be offended by, right? But in everyday society, in polite society, nobody was kind of being a dickhead towards each other unless things kind of really spiraled out of control. Then you've had these instances, however, now, because people are behind screens, people are willing to say the most derogatory things to each other because they're kind of hidden away behind computer screens, behind anonymous username and anonymous accounts, and people feel more emboldened and they're willing to kind of go back to this juvenile way of making fun of each other, bringing each other down. That is what the internet has caused.
Should we go?
Are we live? Okay, cool. This is your interview.
Yeah. No, we're good. We could just jump.
And you see there, because Justin Waller is in the presence of a therapist, he's not willing to take the reins on this one. So you have this, ultimate alpha male, he calls himself a cowboy, says that he is living the dream of many men. When it comes to taking the reins of an interview, he's like, he defers to somebody else. He's like, oh no, look, you're the interviewer, you're the therapist, you're the one in charge. So you have Justin Waller being very submissive in this instance.
Jump right into it. Well, I guess, I mean, maybe we should start. I'll just tell you a little bit about why I had the impulse to interview you. I saw the movie Inside the Manosphere. I thought
the impulse that this guy had was that this guy was going viral because he was on the Manosphere documentary, and then this guy was like, this is a great way for me to get some fucking clicks and get some virality going off of the name of Justin Waller. At the end of the day, it is a social media game. It is the game to garner more attention, to garner more clicks. That is what everybody's doing. That is why people are going wild online. Okay, people are doing the most craziest things. The world is going mad. Okay, the world is going mad, and people are documenting it online 24/7. Doing the wildest shit that you have ever imagined. That you should really get arrested for online. Okay, I mean, sorry, in everyday life, you should get arrested for it. However, because it's online, because it's on the screen, people see it differently. People see it as entertainment. Okay, they do not really view it as everyday society. They view it as some form of entertainment.
Was lame. I guess at best a kind of missed opportunity, because I think there's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah.
With what's going on.
So I think this guy, the interviewer, he is a red pill consumer. Okay, he is a red pill therapist. He is somebody who kind of stepped into the limelight because he was somebody who first interviewed Tate when he was on the rise, on the come up, pre-COVID or during COVID, during lockdowns, before Andrew Tate actually blew up on the internet. This guy, David Sutcliffe, is somebody who has already made 1 or 2 interviews with Andrew Tate. Okay, and because he's a therapist, because he is a psychologist or whatever, right? He ran a psychoanalysis on him, giving him his verdict, and kind of just agreeing with everything that Tate said. Okay, because from his personal point of view, the way that he views the world in his own daily life, he agreed with everything pretty much that Tate said. Okay, so it was a very easy interview. It was like a layup. Right, it's not like this guy's coming on and asking the hard questions, is it? This guy's already a fan. He's already within the inner sphere of the Tates. He's already in the sphere of the Manosphere, the red pill. That is pretty much this guy's audience. Okay, so when he comes and then decides to interview somebody like Justin Waller, it is a leg up. Okay, it is a he is ask him the nice questions, okay, but pre-approved questions. They are in a setting where it's not a battle for anything. It is a very conversation amongst peers and friends
on with men in the world. And at worst it was kind of a hit piece, and I thought it created caricatures of not just the men.
I mean, the internet is just full of caricatures. If you think about it, everything, like if you look at Andrew Tate, like, why is he famous? Because he became one of the most viral people in the world because of his pyramid scheme that he was running to clip up his content and sell his Hustlers University on it. He's a caricature of a wealthy alpha male. Like, do you know what I mean? Like he is a caricature. Like Justin Waller is a caricature. Right, he is wearing the tightest clothes ever. He knows what he's doing, right? He is playing into this notion of that you see a jacked guy in a very, very tight suit, you're gonna know it's fucking Justin Waller, right? Especially after the Manosphere documentary.
Like yourself and Myron and Sneeko, but just of men in general. And I guess I feel pretty passionate about the conversation around men and what's going on. Same. And so I reached out to
this whole bullshit about what is going on with men. It's like it's easy to dictate, right? Like let me tell you what the fuck is going on with men. Men have no place in society anymore, okay? Because when it comes to the work environment, there is no more gender. Right, the employer doesn't see gender when it comes to hiring a man or woman. He just wants output. Okay, he just wants somebody to come in and contribute to do the fucking job, right? Like, because the employer, the CEO, whoever's fucking hiring it, like, they just need you to come in and produce a certain amount of revenue for the company, a certain amount of input to generate a certain amount of profit. Okay, like you need to, whatever contribution you have within the company, even if you are the fucking cleaner, right? The cleaner comes in to make the environment clean for everybody else to come in and work, so the company is profitable. Okay, it's all geared towards profit. It's all geared towards generating revenue. Okay. And when you have that incentive, you don't really give a fuck if the person's got, you know, a cock or a pussy. You don't give a fuck if, you know, it's a fucking 12-year-old child doing the fucking work, or it's a 90-year-old pensioner doing it, right? Like all you care is about producing, right, output. Okay, and the government comes in and puts in laws in place, employment laws, to make it safe, and you know they raise the questions of ethics, but there's no ethics when it comes to business. Okay, and because the lines, you know, the traditional roles of employment are now, you know, non-existent between genders, you now have a situation where, you know, men and women are equal when it comes to work, but when it outside of work, you know, women also want to be equal to a man, but then at the same time, a man still has to uphold his traditional masculine gender role, right? For example, like, I mean, you know, you saw earlier Justin Waller complaining about people on the internet calling him gay, right? Like if a man isn't doesn't have a job, if he doesn't provide for his family, he is seen less than, right? So like it's this really weird mishmash of a society that we've created where everybody's fucking equal, right? But if you don't do what you're supposed to do, then you are not a man, right? Like it's a funny little, you know, little alleyway in the world, this moment in the world where we find ourselves, right? However, despair not, because AI is coming, okay, and AI will reduce and you know, rewrite the labor markets, okay. It will rewrite the way that the work environment is run, because you know, between AI, which never sleeps, which never takes breaks, you know, which can work 24/7, you know, humans, man and women, both of them, they have to take breaks. Okay, they have to eat, they have to think, they have to take the time to do work. Whereas like AI can come in and just do it fucking on a whim, right? And when you have that type of technology, you know, which one's going to be more profitable? The one who has to fucking sleep for 8 hours a day, or the one who has to, you know, just be plugged in and, you know, run in the background to do the job, right? So many people's jobs will be in question over the next couple of years. The employment landscape, right? The way that we, you know, our relationship with work will be changed. Okay, and then you will see people's true nature. Then you will see people's true colors, because at the end of the day, we all need fucking money to survive, right? And the people who have shit in place, the people who have money in place, they'll be fine. Okay, but the people who are living paycheck to paycheck, the people who, you know, are reliant on a job to survive, okay, they will be severely hurt, right? And then you will see very, very fucking quickly people reverting back to their gender roles, okay? Because when shit hits the fan, you know, nobody wants to take responsibility, and everybody will really quickly be like, oh no, you're the man, you sort it out, right? But there will be no opportunity to do so.
To Andrew, to, you know, to talk to you, maybe Myron, maybe Sneeko. I guess just to show a different side, to kind of look under the hood, probe a little bit deeper, have a more personal conversation, humanize maybe. Not that you need that necessarily, but just to have a different kind of conversation and maybe show a different side to you. Because what I see is, like, I see your goodness, I see what you're trying to do in the world, and I can also see how people can perceive that in a negative way, and it provokes them. And I'm aware of the whole internet culture. You know, we talked a little bit about that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the internet doesn't have time for nuance. Okay, it's either you enjoy that person's content, or you know, you're against him, right? The internet is very divisive in that way. The internet, you know, doesn't give a fuck if you're being real or not. Okay, they just kind of want to be entertained, to watch something. If something pisses them off, they will let you know. If something, if they agree with something, they will cheer for you. You know, it is that simple, right? People's brains have just fallen out the fucking ass. Okay, many people are too stupid to realize what they are doing, what they're watching, how they are interacting with the world right now. I mean, my fucking internet keeps freezing here. I hope everything's okay. Yeah, I mean, people, really have no clue what the fuck is going on. Many people have lost their minds on the internet. So you cannot take serious people's opinions of you, right? Like, for example, like if you're a normal person, you've never left a fucking hate message, a hateful comment on anybody's video. Because if you are a normal person, you watch something, and if you don't like it, you stop watching it. Okay, like it is that simple. But there are some people who feel the need to say something mean, to to have their voice heard, and then and then you click on their fucking picture, like their little avatar. You go to their YouTube page, you go to their Twitter page, and they're literally like a fucking nobody, right? Like that is what the internet is about. That the internet is just to for people to vent their frustrations, because the world that we find ourselves in is becoming a more and more isolated place. People don't have nothing to live for. People have no more families. People have no more children. Even if you're somebody who's got kids, right? Like you might be watching this, and you've got like like I don't know, like you have a baby in the house, for example. Okay, like just know in about 10 to 15 years time, that child that is in your house right now, he's gonna fucking think you're a prick, right? Because that is how young people are raised to be, right? They don't respect people in real life anymore. They don't respect their parents, they don't respect their grandparents, they don't respect their teachers, they don't respect points of authority. It's all about respecting just salacious idiots online. That is where the world is moving towards. Okay, and if you're somebody who's concerned about this, and if you're somebody who wants who recognizes what the fuck is happening, it really, normal society's fucked. We're never going back. And in the way where it's headed, and especially if you know about what these elites what their long-term plan is, I mean, you just got to look into Agenda 2030 and see what the fuck that is about, what the World Economic Forum wants to install all across the world. Then you realize that, okay, right, the world is fucked, the system is fucked. Okay, and the only way to survive is to leave the system, which is what I'm about, which is what I'm doing. I'm here sending out a message, I'm broadcasting a message. I'm trying to come across your feed so that you watch my videos, so in the hopes that if you are somebody who understands what it is that I'm doing, who understands what it is that I'm about, who also has similar sort of values and similar types of beliefs that I do, who wants to live, the life at the top, okay, who wants to live a life of luxury, who wants to help people, because you are a good person. You're not an evil narcissist psychopath. You actually want to bring about goodness to the world, right? That the only way to do it is to start something fresh, to start something new. That is what we are doing. We are rising to the top. We are becoming subject matter experts. We are starting new kingdoms. We are building new nations. We are buying private islands. We are moving away. Okay. And together we are finding 100 people, 100 kings, 100 subject matter experts to build kingdoms with, to build new nations with. Okay. And to raise armies with, right? 100 kings, 100 armies, 100 kingdoms. And together we will overthrow the evil elites, the people who are in charge right now, the people who are leading us down a dark and dangerous path. Okay. We are the ones who are destined to rule.
On the phone, where there's there's you, and this is true for all of us. There's the you that's here at your home, family man. And then there's what we present online. And I guess maybe that's the place to start. How has that been for you? Because you started off in construction, just, I guess, kind of a regular guy. Now you are a internet celebrity featured in a major motion picture. Right. You got a lot of attention coming at you. How's that been for you?
I always say my life is so good in real life. I couldn't get upset about anything that somebody says on the internet.
His life is so good in real life that he could never get upset what they say about him on the internet. But first of all, he's lying, because he is kind of clearly a little bit upset, right? Like, not to the point where he's fucking crying himself to sleep, but he is a little bit irritated by it. He is a little bit worried about what the internet's saying, because the first thing that he started this documentary with is like saying like that, oh, people call me gay online and I don't like it, blah blah, trying to kind of fight that narrative. But like, if you really didn't care about it, you wouldn't have even mentioned it. So first of all, straight up lie from the get off. The other thing is he's like, oh, my real life is so good that, why would I care whatever says anything about me on the internet? Well, when why go even on the internet, right? This is the thing, right? Like if your life is truly good, if your life is truly amazing, why would you put yourself out there? Okay, because what you have to realize is there is no more, oh, this is real life and this is now fake life on the internet, right? This is virtual reality and that is reality, right? The mental bandwidth that both spheres are occupied in are merged together, right? Because if you think about it, like a lot of the things that you would even yourself, okay, like say you go out to dinner with your friends, a lot of the conversations that you would have with your friends isn't about what you read in a newspaper, isn't about what you read in a magazine, right? It isn't what you watched maybe on TV, like mainstream TV, right? A lot of it is driven by what you saw on Twitter, what you saw on YouTube, what you saw on TikTok, what you saw on Instagram, right? Like it is curated in this social media, internet culture that is shaping mainstream society, virtual reality, right? So those two things are intertwined. They are one and the same, right? So him for him to say, oh, I don't, in my real life is so good, why would I care what they say about me on the internet? Well, your real life is the internet is part of it. Okay, the comments that you're saying is this is that they're merging, that they're coming this hybrid thing, right? Where many people are, the moment is passing them by, where those two things have been separated, right? That is in the past, okay, especially post COVID. Before, at least, especially like in the work environment, right? Like and in people who went to school, you went to school and you will talk to your classmates, you will talk to your colleagues at work, right? And that was a real life interaction, okay? And then you go home, you consume stuff on the internet, and it was like two separate worlds. Well, if you start working and having meetings online, and if most of your communication is via emails, okay, your interaction with the world, right, from real life is through a screen, is through the internet, okay? So this notion of the internet, virtual reality, and reality, physical reality, are separate. It is gone. Okay, we have merged together now. We are one and the same, and slowly we are moving more and more and gearing ourselves to spend more and more time online, which is where we're going, which is what is happening right now.
Genuine with all my heart, mean it. In regards to the Netflix thing,
I think this guy is smashed at this point. Like if you if you really look at it, Justin Waller, that glass in front of him at the start, was it empty?
you know what I think is hilarious about
So there's
calling me
no
gay?
glass there. Okay.
Word.
To
Okay, so I think it's just water in front of them.
Was to knock me. He says, thanks to make it. It's like,
and I can also see how people can perceive that in a negative way.
Yeah, so I reckon that they sat down, they had a couple of drinks already, because Justin Waller, he kind of seems, the way he's talking, he seems like he's already a bit buzzed here.
And it provokes them. And I'm aware of the whole internet culture. We talked a little bit about that, on the phone, where there's there's you, and this is true for all of us. There's the you that's here at your home, family man. And then there's what we present online. And I guess maybe that's the place to start. How has that been for you? Because you started off in construction, just, I guess, kind of a regular guy. Now you are a internet celebrity featured in a major motion picture.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I think these two guys are fucked. They're buzzed, definitely. They are smashed off their fucking tits.
You got a lot of attention coming at you. How's that been for you?
I always say my life is so good in real life, I couldn't get upset about anything that somebody says on the internet. And I genuinely, with all my heart, mean it.
Then why did he question the people who are calling him gay online? Like, why would you bring that up if it doesn't piss you off? Lies.
In regards to the Netflix thing, I knew exactly what Louis was going to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so he has to say that he knew, right? Because if he feels like he got ambushed, then it will make him look weaker. It would make him look stupid for putting himself in a situation like that. But by saying that, oh, I knew what he was going to do, and I still done it anyway because I was going to use the situation for my own advantage. I was going to pull up the Uno reverse card and fuck with him because I am 6 steps ahead, which is what the Tate's brand is all about. It is what Justin Boller. He's obviously tailgating off the Tates is what they are all about. That, oh yeah, I'm so smart. I knew what the fuck I was doing.
I watched 3 of his documentaries before I.
Yeah, I knew exactly what he's going to do because I done my research. Okay, how did you do research, Justin? I watched 3 documentaries of what just about. I watched 3 previous documentaries. What Louis Theroux did, like, what a statement.
Accepted it. And so I had a decision to make. It's like
he had a life and death situation to make. Okay, like he was like, do I do the documentary or not? Like, of course he was going to do the fucking documentary. Okay, because if you are a internet personality like these guys, the more eyeballs that you can get on yourself, it's always a good thing. Whether you look like a clown, okay, whether it makes you look fucking good, bad, whatever. Okay, it is all about just staying relevant. It is about putting your fucking name out there, staying relevant within the sphere on the internet.
I know that he's going to in some way. And by the way, I think it's his job. Mm-hmm. And let me, in fact.
And, but when he says, by the way, it's his job to do so, he kind of, then paints him out, not that he's now punching down, saying that Louis Theroux was this evil person who, twisted my image online. Okay, it's his job to do it. But it's also my job to go on there and, dodge and weave, the tough questions that he's fucking asking.
Let me just back up a second. I love Louis.
Now he has to say he loves him. He loves Louis so much. Louis is his friend because he also he's trying to play the social media game because he also knows that because by being on that documentary, Louis Theroux, whether he made him look stupid, whether he made him look good, whether he asked the right questions, wrong questions, whatever it is, he got his name, Justin Waller, okay, on Netflix. Right, like whatever Justin Waller was doing before, he was in construction. Okay, whether he's a multimillionaire, whatever he's doing, like there should be no documentary about this guy. Okay, or the reason why he's on this documentary is because Louis Theroux couldn't get Andrew Tate, so then they got somebody who's associated with Andrew Tate. Okay, which happens to be Justin Waller, right? So he's like a bridesmaid on there anyway, right? Then there's also a few clips about him saying some crazy stuff, right? Perceived misogyny, because he's obviously appealing to a red pill manosphere audience, right? So he said some wild things. He's literally, they couldn't get Andrew Tate, they got the next best thing, and now he's thankful for the fucking opportunity. He's like, oh, you made me look like a fucking idiot all across the internet. Thank you very much.
I think he's funny.
I do too. No, I've watched a lot of his movies. He's great.
The other day I messaged Lou on Instagram and I said to him, actually, I will read you what I.
he said it. He doesn't remember it. Let me fucking read it straight off the fucking thing, right? It's also because he's doing the right thing, by the way, because you kind of always have to position yourself as 2 steps ahead of everybody else. You have to position yourself to be the smartest person in the room, right? And also a very gracious and humble person. And that despite all the negative backlash, the negative rhetoric that is happening online about this documentary, that is really villainizing all these people, all these red pill people, and loads of people are making fun of these, Sneakos, Myrons, Justin Waller, and all these people, right? Despite all that, Justin Waller is gracious enough not to attack Louis Theroux, that he is thankful and that he commends his job, okay? Because now people are like, oh, that's so sweet. Maybe Justin isn't that bad, okay? Maybe he is just a really nice guy who is misunderstood, because now he is in damage control. Now he is trying to, reel some of this internet hate back by being like, okay, look, these other guys, they're screaming on the internet, Sneeko, Myron, whoever, whatever other people, HS TikToky, right? These people are screaming, saying Louis Theroux is a rat, he's a snake, he's he's disingenuous, he is trying to paint this out in a bad picture, because that's how he makes his fucking money. You know, Justin Waller is going the opposite direction. You know, he's being like, oh no, I'm thankful for it. You know, it's his job to do so, and I commend him for it. You know, and then I also sent him a fucking message thanking him for the good work that he done.
I said to Louis, because I don't want to misword anything, because it's actually quite funny.
Yeah.
So let me look Louis up real quick. I said to Louis, and I mean this truly, you might or might not believe me, but I'm genuinely happy for you, Louis.
You might or might not believe me, but I'm genuinely happy for you. Yeah, I think he's not happy, but he's trying to paint a picture of himself taking the moral high ground, right? Because obviously in public perception, in the mainstream perception, Louis Theroux won this battle between 4 of these Manosphere people, right? That he, you know, exposed them for the kind of, you know, awkward weirdos that they really are, right? Because all this Manosphere, that the shit they do is fine as long as they don't, you know, point out to the mainstream what they're doing, right? If you are somebody who's going to have multiple relationships, like, you have it on the down low, right? Like, that's the cool thing to do. Justin Waller's not cool saying like, yeah, man, I'm so fucking cool, I've got 2 wives, you know, my relationship's great. That good for you, man. Like, that is actually like the dream, I bet, of many men, right? But you can't say it. Like, it's something that is subtle, it's something that you do privately. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it is, you know, wink wink nudge nudge, you know, but we don't talk about it, right? We keep it stum here. You know, instead, you know, the uncool thing to do is be like saying like, look how cool I am for banging 2 chicks at the same time. Like, that's the uncool thing to do. The cool thing to do is do it, have everybody know about it, but you never talk about it. Like, that's the cool thing to do, right? You keep it private. You have another mistress. Okay, you pay for a life. You pay for housing. You know, you go bang her on the side. Okay, you have a kid with her, whatever you fucking want to do, but just don't mention it. Right? Don't brag about it. Right? It is all about. But the internet is built about bragging. Okay, because if you don't brag on the internet, how the fuck does anybody know what you're doing? And yeah. So, and then, you know, you kind of have to take this route where you are being cringe, where you are exposing your life, and by doing so, you know, you take away the cool, but people at least know about it and they talk about it, and, you know, you get to reap the monetary rewards that come with it.
Last I checked, you were number 2 in the world in documentaries.
and again, like so he's trying to do this nice guy, you know, thank you message, okay, like to Louis Theroux, but then he gets a sly dig in there. He's like, last I checked, you're number 2 in documentaries. It's like, you know, just say that you're you know, one of the top people in the world doing documentaries. Like, that would have been enough, but he's like, oh no, but you're number 2. Like, you can see that Justin Waller is trying to fucking still box him. Like, do you get me? Like a virtual boxing match. Okay, he's trying to get one up on him by pointing out the fact that, you know, oh, last time I checked, you're number 2 in the world. Like, that's a great achievement. Okay, like if whatever you do in the world, right? If you end up being number 2 at the thing that you do, right? Like, the number 2 spot, it's a great thing. Okay, but it's also a little cheap sucker punch, isn't it? It's like, oh wow, that's amazing. You're number 2 in the world. Like, it's also, you know, you can make a little derogatory thing that you do, right? And I believe that is what Justin Waller is trying to do here. He's trying to have a little dig, you know, a little sly, like a little punch behind the head. He's like, oh, that's so cute. You're number 2 documentary maker in the world.
Huge accomplishment.
That's so patronizing. Hey, you've worked 35 years making documentaries online, okay, for the BBC, for global networks, global broadcasters, okay, award-winning documentaries, exposés all across the world, and now you're number 2. Well done. That's a great achievement. Like, he, you know, because if you really respected him, if you really liked him, you would have just said that you were a world-class documentary maker, right? But instead, he has this little sly jab.
Know how hard you worked to get here. From the bottom of my heart, congrats. Flex bicep, black heart, duh. You know what he said?
Like it was a little jab at the same time, you know, when to a normal person who doesn't read between the lines as I do, right? Like they'll just be like, oh, okay, like Justin Timberlake. Justin Waller is taking the moral high ground here. He is thankful. He's grateful for his opportunities in the world, right? What a lovely guy, isn't it? What a lovely guy Justin Waller is. He's so nice. Even when somebody makes a hit piece about him, he still manages to send him a nice message via Instagram. Let's see what Louis Theroux's reply was.
He says, thanks, Justin. I appreciate it. You know that number 2 is just first last.
So, okay. So Louis Theroux responds. He's like, thank you, Justin. And then he addresses the number 2 bit, which again, so Louis Theroux saw right through what Justin Waller is doing, that it was a jab. Okay, so this exchange on via Instagram DMs isn't a nice little thing between Justin and Louis Theroux. Justin's taking a nice, a subtle, little backhanded slap. He's like, oh, thank you very much. Do you know what I mean? He's like, bang. He's like, little jab, straight in the face. Okay, like you didn't see me, jab, right? Like you. Oh, okay. Sorry. You just had a fly on your face. Let me slap it off your fucking nose, right? He's doing something subtle there, right? He is literally, trying to undermine him, saying, "Oh, you're wonderful, number 2 documentary maker." Okay, like what? There's no need to emphasize the number 2 within a fucking message. You could have just said, "Oh, you're a great documentary maker. Thanks for the opportunity. Let's see you around, whatever. Right, move on." But it's like imagine if you text your ex, right? Like your ex has a meltdown. She writes some crazy thing on fucking Instagram, saying like, bullshit, exposing you, saying like, oh, he's such a lying prick, he cheated on me, he's like blah 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 blah, right? Some little message, and then you DM her saying like, hey, I really appreciate our time, you're the second biggest love of my life. Like there's no need to say it. Do you get what I mean? Like you either say something nice and move on, or you just, like, there's no need to undermine someone, especially in a private DM. But Justin Waller is obviously hurt by the documentary, which is why he is still willing to take jabs at Louis Theroux. And the fact that Louis Theroux responds and acknowledges the second best documentary maker line, Louis Theroux saw what Justin Waller is trying to do, and he's addressing it straight, and he's going to address it with a punch back.
Right? Question mark. Copyright Talladega Nights. Last I checked, you were number 2 in the world in documentaries. Huge accomplishment. I know how hard you worked to get here. From the bottom of my heart, congrats. Flex bicep, black heart, duh. You know what he said? He says, thanks, Justin, I appreciate it. You know that number 2 is just first last.
So number 2 is first last.
Right? Question mark. Copyright Talladega Nights.
Okay, like that is very, very interesting, right? What just happened there? Okay. He said, thanks, Justin. Last I checked, second place is just first last. Okay. Question mark. Okay. Trademark, where he said question mark, Talladega Nights, which is a film about a Will Ferrell film, where he is a NASCAR driver, and it's a comedy about Will Ferrell being a NASCAR driver. Okay, and basically Will Ferrell just plays this redneck, really southern, a stereotypical dumb southern American that's into NASCAR driving. That's a famous NASCAR driver. Okay, and the whole film, I mean, is basically like that this guy's a low IQ individual. He's very stupid, he's very emotional, he's not very smart, he's not very bright, but he's very talented at this one thing, at driving. And he is just stereotypical redneck American. So the fact that Louis Theroux messages this back, right, it's like, hey, and that's a quote from the film, right? That second place is just first last. Okay, he's kind of throwing it back at him, saying like, what the fuck do you know? You're just a stupid redneck. Like that is the underlying frame of what Louis Theroux is saying back to him. He's like, hey, why do I give a shit what the fuck you say? You're a stupid redneck, right? Which is why else would you quote Talladega Nights? Do you get what I mean? Like it's a funny film. I mean, it's got some great, it's a great film. Like I do recommend you watch it. Like the little the scene before dinner when they do grace and they, you know, he thanks baby Jesus, you know, like it's got so many fucking memorable quotes to it. But the fact that he references that film to Justin Waller, it isn't by coincidence that, oh, okay, you both are stupid rednecks. Like, why do I give a shit what the fuck you have to say? That is the underlying theme here. And, you know, I can't believe like Justin Waller thought it'd be a great thing to share, because I mean, anybody with any type of intelligence can see what is the hidden meaning behind that exchange. Because even if you saw when the response by the other guy, like he listened to it and he was like, what? Like if you see his hands, they do this movement, right? Which means he didn't understand like what was that response, because on the surface it's a nothing response. It doesn't have no meaning, right? But if you, and the underlying context of what was just said was that he doesn't give a fuck what Justin Waller has to say, but he, you know, you can't really analyze that sentence and say that he was being rude, but the actual, you know, the meta thing that is being said is that you are a stupid redneck. Okay, let me just fast forward it a little bit, right?
And I mean this truly.
Okay, so we here, if I put it here,
To get here from the bottom of my heart, congrats. Flex bicep, black heart, duh. You know what he said?
okay, so that now this is response from Louis Theroux, right? But I want you to look at not Justin Waller, look at the other guy, David, the therapist, and just watch his hand movement. His hands are sitting on the couch, right? Palms down, and he'll throw his hands, palms up, being like, "What? What?" Like, it's a very quick thing that he does, okay? Because when you hear it, it's a no nothing response. Because if Louis Theroux said like, "Oh, thank you very much, like I appreciate it, you know, like good luck with everything," that's a normal cordial response that you give to someone, okay? But you know, his response is an odd quote to give. So you know, it kind of goes over. I think it went over Justin Waller's head. Like, you know, even he didn't fucking recognize what was being said here, because otherwise he would not have read it out. But look at David Sutcliffe's, the guy on the right hand side of your screen. Look at his hands, look at his palms, what the movement that he's about to do.
He says, "Thanks, Justin. I appreciate it. You know that number 2 is just first last, right? Question mark. Copyright Talladega Nights."
Did you see that? Did you see that? Hang on.
I'm a grown ass man. To make it, it's like I know that he's going to in some way. I'm a grown ass man. To get here from the bottom of my heart, congrats. Flex bicep, black heart, duh. You know what he said? He says, "Thanks, Justin. I appreciate it. You know that number 2 is just first last, right? Question mark. Copyright Talladega."
There you go. Hang on. Can you see me? Yeah. There you go. Like, so you can see his fucking palms. He flicks them up. He's like, what sort of response is that, right? Like, he's like, because even when you first hear it, it's like you don't see the, you know, because he said copyrighted Talladega Nights, right? So he's trying to say like, no, this is like your fucking, this is the film about your people, right? He's like saying that this is a film about redneck people. You are a redneck, okay? And it's like it is a jab back, you know. Justin Waller jabbed Louis Theroux, but saying you're the second best documentary maker. You're good, but not that good. Like that's what it means. Okay, you're good, but you're not that good. Okay. Even though if you're fucking second best at anything in the world, it's like it's a achievement. Okay. You're good, but not as good as you think you are. Okay. That is what Justin Waller said to him, and the slap back was, you know, hey, you know, second is just first last. Okay. You know, copyright, you know, quoted from Talladega Nights, right? Meaning that you are just a stupid redneck. Shut the fuck up. That is the underlying context that is being discussed within these DMs. Okay. And even like a trained psychologist like this guy, like he throws his fucking hands up, right? He's like, what? Like, you know, and he doesn't understand what it is. Maybe it's because they're drunk. maybe because they've been day drinking, right? Like maybe because they're totally fucked up, that obviously you're not gonna miss it. But I got it straight away because I was like, oh no, like that there is an underlying meta thing that is happening in this conversation.
Nights. So like me and Louis are cool. Like Louis had a job.
They're not cool. They're not. They're literally both disrespecting each other. They're both, they're not cool with each other. They're like literally, they're like taking the piss at each other, but also being cordial. Because at the last thing that you would want is, especially if you are a prominent person, a public figure on the internet, right, is to say something, say something nasty in a DM, in a text message exchange, and then the other person then puts you on blast and be like to all his audience, be like, look what Louis Theroux said back to me. He was being very rude. He's not a nice person. Like, so they're still trying to have some type of veil about their own narrative. The way that they come across is that they're still these very nice people despite what is said to each other within the DMs.
Yeah.
I'm a grown ass man. I watched his other documentaries. I knew it was a hit piece. I knew that he was going to have to cut out everything that she said about how I show up as a father and as a husband. I knew he was going to cut out me playing with my kids. I knew he was going to cut out the massive amount of vulnerability I decided to show him just in case. I knew he was going to cut out a 30-minute conversation we had with my father about my childhood standing right here, and me taking care of one of my siblings completely, house, car, phone, everything, because I came out of our childhood stronger than she did. And for that reason, I feel that for any part of my upbringing that nicked me and is still with me.
Yeah.
So here, obviously, Justin Waller is giving you the behind the scenes thing, saying like, look, like wherever you watch during that documentary, like there's a lot more to it. Okay, like there's a lot of cut scenes. That he was totally transparent with what he gave Louis Theroux access to, yet he chose to drive a certain narrative to paint him in a certain light. That the way that he came across in this documentary isn't the fault of Justin Waller. It's the fault of Louis Theroux and his editing team, and the direction that they decided to take. Okay, that and he's kind of now being like, look, man, I came, I brought you into my house, I let you watch me play with my children. Okay, I let you talk to my father right here in this very spot, right? And by giving like little bits of detail like that, you kind of feel more sympathetic towards him, being like, wow, man, like, yeah, that's such a dickhead thing to do. If you bring somebody into your house and then he mistreats you like that, it's like, it's very rude thing to do. So now he's trying to kind of, he's not appealing to people who agree with Louis Theroux, but he's trying to win back the people who were fans of Justin Waller, and now being kind of swayed away, being like, oh, okay, maybe he is just this big jerk, and now he's trying to reassure those people, being like, no. This guy done a hit piece, is very calculated. I was the nice guy. I gave him access to my life. I gave him access to me playing my children. Okay. The things that he cut out, me taking care of my brother, right? Because that's the type of man I am. He cut all that out and painted me in this one very certain light. He is just trying to reassure his fan base. He is trying to reassure the people to carry on supporting him. He's in one way just trying to reassure himself, okay, that he is doing everything right in life, that he is going the right direction, and that it is Louis Theroux's fault for painting him in the wrong way.
The way for me to have grace with myself is to take care of her and love her.
Yeah, so you see why he returns back to saying grace with myself. I need to be in grace with myself, okay, because that he is taking the moral high ground in the situation, because he's all about him being comfortable with what is going on in the world.
Regardless, he can't show that. That's not Louis's job.
Yeah, and at the same time, he's saying like, oh, no, this is what happened, but then he's also not blaming Louis Theroux, because he's kind of just now trying to manage, his own image, the way that he comes across, being like, look, this is what should have been done. This is the type of person I am, but Louis has to do all these things because he's on that side. He has to, paint me in a certain light, and I forgive him, okay, because when you are the person who forgives, the people who, slander you in one way, who, do you wrong, okay, then you are also a man of great virtue, okay, that you are a man who is, who has the ability, the moral character to forgive someone, right? That you are this, benevolent king. And in one way, he is painting himself to be the benevolent king in this documentary. I mean, you see, the way he's sitting there, they've got these two, black interview stools. They kind of look like thrones. Okay, it is like a little personal throne that he and the other guy are sitting on. They're both sipping whiskey. Whatever drink they got is in a whiskey glass. So it's not just some cheap plastic cup. It's an expensive glass that you would drink nice cognac out of or whiskey out of. And then they're by this little pool, a little fountain. With the water going up. In this very nice thing. And I think there's a little fire in the back as well. They're in a nice, expensive setting, right? They're in this nice little world. He's painting himself to be a king. He's painting himself to be a benevolent king, the one who is able to forgive people around him, even his enemies who do him wrong.
Louis' job is to make me look bad.
Louis' job is to make him look back. So therefore, right, Louis done his job correctly, and he therefore cannot, right, be mad at Louis, right? So therefore, he has no reason to be angry. He has no reason to fight him anymore, right? It's done and dusted. Whatever happened, and now he wants to move on. Okay, it's in one way, it's reputational damage that he's trying to control the narrative. In one way, he's also trying to now separate himself going forward away from this documentary. He's like, okay, whatever happened. Louis has to paint me out to be a bad person. I'm not a bad person because I, all the hidden stuff that he didn't include in the documentary. Therefore, we can both shake hands, move on, and get on with our lives going forward. Okay, he is trying to draw a line. He is trying to control the narrative going forward.
I knew this. I am a grown-up. How am I?
He knew this. He's a grown-up. He's like, yeah, I'm so smart. I knew what was going to happen, and I still allowed it to happen. Well, if you think about it, if you knew what was going to happen, then why waste time spending with Louis Theroux? Just give him what he wants. Okay, give him the salacious, the things where he will take the piss out of you. There's no need to then bring your kids into it. Watch him play with your children. If he interviewed your dad and didn't include it, and you knew what was going to happen, if you're that smart, then why allow him to interview your father in the first place? Do you get what I mean? Like what is the need to do that? Right? If he calls himself up to be so smart, you're just wasting your own time, right? Like at the end of the day, because this documentary painted you out to be in a bad way, and then therefore you wasted your own time by giving him access to extra footage, but then if you turn around and say, yeah, because I thought he might be a nice guy, well, but you already said you knew what he was all about. So therefore, why waste your own time?
I'm gonna sit here and be mad at Louis when Louis' job is to make me look as bad as possible. Well, he shot with me for 3 days, man.
Yeah.
So he followed you for 3 days. 2 days worth of footage didn't get shown. You can't be mad because you can't be mad either, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like he got you good. You thought that he was going to include the footage, which you would then later be able to spin. But he got one over you where he didn't even include the footage at all, right? Because if you knew that he wasn't going to include that footage, then you wouldn't have allowed him access to all that time of yours. Do you get what I mean? Like you were just giving him what he wants. You would have just given him what he needs, and then you would just fucking moved on with your life, right? That is what you would have done. But now coming back and saying that I knew what was happening, I knew what he was going to do, you are just in damage control at this moment.
I mean, I hear you. That is his job on one level, but as somebody who's made documentary films, I would say the job of the documentarian is to try to get to like the deepest level of truth of what's actually happening. I think he failed in that, but I understand. He has his angle. He has an agenda.
I think there's something behind Louis, though.
What?
Okay. Now we're getting to something juicy, right? Like now, we've established that that Justin was smart enough. He knew what was going to happen. Okay, that he knows Louis' character. Okay, that he knows what Louis is about. That he's not angry at Louis for what he did. Okay, that he was very nice towards Louis and his documentary team by giving him full access to all parts of Justin's life, right? That he's the nice guy in this situation. That the version of events that Justin Waller's telling us, he's the nice guy, okay? And Louis is the one whose job it is to paint him, make out to be a bad person. It's his job to paint him in a bad light, right? But despite that, no, Justin's not angry. Justin's not that. But then, right then, once we've established all this, okay, that we've established Justin's a nice guy, full access to everything, right? Louis Theroux's a bad guy, but it's his job to be a bad guy, so you can't be mad at him, right? So once you've established all that, but I think there's something behind Louis Theroux. Like, okay, like so you're not mad at him, but you do think there's someone behind him. There's something behind him pulling the strings. Let's see what he's about to say.
I think there's a deeper agenda behind.
There's a deeper agenda. Now we're in conspiracy. Now we are about to unveil the full conspiracy behind why this documentary was made, why Louis Theroux made this documentary, who is behind Louis Theroux. Because is Louis Theroux even a real person? He is just a mouthpiece. He is working on behalf of our people. We are now about to unveil the conspiracy that goes deep. Who is Louis Theroux? What was his agenda? Why is he doing what he's doing? But before that, let's jump into comments. Mogmax is United. How are you doing, mate? I hope you are doing well. I think this interview is an opportunity for Justin to get attention again because we all have forgotten about him until now. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. It is an opportunity for him to, kind of dive deep, get back out there. But it's interesting that he chose to do this interview with somebody who is a psychologist, a therapist, because it kind of gives credibility to this interview as well, because it is conducted or orchestrated by somebody who is who has some type of level of education, that he has some type of respect within academic circles, within mental health circles, right? Because imagine if he done this first interview with someone like Rollo Tomasi, somebody like Myron Gaines, that if they came together and be like, yeah, man, it was so hard, Louis Theroux's being really mean to me, like it kind of, it just then becomes like this little like fucking circle jerk of a bunch of losers just coming together to cry about somebody else being mean to him. But instead they chose this guy to conduct the interview. It's also interesting that he's doing that because he's trying to be like, look, man, I'm giving you my story. And then when you have a guy who is a licensed therapist, a psychologist, okay, kind of being like, yeah, you're right, Justin, right, it validates him more than if it was some next podcaster. Do you get what I mean? Right? He is trying to now claw his way back to twist the narrative to get attention again, but also straighten up the story, because after the interview, after the Manosphere documentary, Justin came across like a bit of an idiot, just this caricature of an alpha male wearing ultra tight trousers, and kind of just bragging about his wife, him living this polygamous life, and because when you watch his wife's face, she kind of just seems like someone who's got Stockholm syndrome, somebody who she kind of just puts up with it because Justin's rich. Like she doesn't seem like a willing participant when you're watching the documentary. Okay, so now he has to have this damage control thing, being like, oh, it's just because you didn't see what was going on in the background. Okay, because what was really happening, it was disingenuous. And he is now trying to retrieve back and paint himself out to be the nice guy in this situation. But now, we are now going to go into the conspiracy part of the interview, okay? And, if you think about it, we are just 6 minutes in. We've established Louis Theroux's job is to expose, and paint Justin to be a weird guy, a caricature of a person. Justin Waller is a nice guy and the victim in all this because he gave him full access to his life for 3 days. And now there is a conspiracy that he thinks is going on, that Louis Theroux is being controlled by a greater power.
And Louis in the world that wants to push a narrative to knock any man that's leading young men down in a way.
So the narrative is that Louis Theroux, okay, is basically trying to stop any man who is leading young men and pushing an honest agenda, pushing an honest message to young men, right? That Louis Theroux is trying to quash that, or the people who fund Louis Theroux, they're trying to stop that message. Okay, they're trying to actively suppress young men from becoming strong, from rising up. And there's a certain truth to it. They are the people who fund this mainstream media, okay, Netflix, any mainstream media outlet, right? They are trying to push an agenda, not to just suppress young men, but just to confuse people. Okay, they don't want you to have any way of thinking for yourself. They want you to be reliant on the opinions of other people. Okay, and then the whole point of this is like, if you follow these guys are fucking idiots. Okay, and it's not even that, because if you are a fan of Myron Gaines, if you are a fan of Justin Waller, right? If you already watched Manosphere, Red Pill type of content, right? They're not trying to win back those people, right? Louis Theroux and these documentary makers, Netflix, right? They're not trying to win back those people. They're trying to tell people who are not aware of it that this is going on. And if you hear people following, if you see your son, your daughter, your husband, your boyfriend, right, following somebody like Justin Waller, okay, that basically this is the guy he's following, okay, and because they paint him out to be this clown, this quite narcissistic, psychopathic, quite weak, like easily triggered version of an alpha male, that he's following someone, a very insecure man, and it is something to be clowned.
Where they can put their narrative back in to feminize him, to weaken him, to make him smaller. And Louis' job was to knock me and Myron and Sneeko, and he didn't have to work very hard to get that young man in.
Yeah, so they're literally painting this picture that, oh, okay, so if you now laugh at Justin Waller because of what happened in the documentary and how that he was framed in the documentary, you're actually supporting Louis Theroux and his cronies, okay, his people who hate young men, who hate people who are trying to feminize men. Okay, it is, they're trying to frame it as, oh, it's like men are the only victims. Okay, they're also trying to give this fake empowerment to women, that they have all the time in the world to do whatever the fuck they want. Okay, that there are these girl, boss babes, that they can, be billionaires or millionaires on OnlyFans, right? They are also trying to push those two things at the same time, with the whole thing being that, oh, it just leaves a mess of people. Okay, they're basically just trying to increase more anxiety across the world, more hate, okay, where we don't connect with each other, where we are weak, which is why the system's so fucked, because everybody in the system watches this fucking type of content, right? Whether it's red pill or feminist content, okay, but you're watching shit online, right? Whereas you need to be in an environment where you are surrounded by people who actually care about you, who have your back, people that you can be fucking depend on, people that you can be friends with, right? Which is why you have to get out of the system. You have to come up with your own system. This is what we are about on this channel. We are finding people, we are building kingdoms, we are building kings. Okay, we are building subject matter experts so that we can come together, so that we can start something new. That is what we are about. That is what we are doing. That is how we are succeeding and leaving these systems, so that we do not have to deal with these crazy people and make documentaries and then try to whitewash our reputation by doing a fucking interview with a mediocre therapist.
Marbella, he didn't have to work that hard to get him. However, to that young man's credit, our zeitgeists are completely different. I think that the streamers of the world are actually the most dangerous thing for young men.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting, because if you remember, if you watch the documentary, I've never really watched it. I don't want to. And like, I know it's going to be a propaganda piece like this. I'm not going to find out anything new. I already knew who all these people are, right? So I'm not going to learn anything new by watching the Manosphere documentary, right? But I've seen enough clips online circulating about it, and then other people talking about it, that I kind of like, I've probably watched like 30% of the documentary anyway, just by the fucking clips I've watched online. Just by scrolling down on Twitter when it first came out, right? But you know, the main people were Sneeko. Okay, so Sneeko, you can call him a streamer as well, right? So Sneeko's a streamer. Myron Gaines, he's more of a podcaster because you know the Fresh and Fit show, most of it is done in the studio, so he's not streaming in real life. Okay, so it's mainly Sneeko and HS and HS TikToky. So you have two streamers, Justin Waller and Myron. You know, those two people are more you know, what would you say, just YouTube personalities, let's say, right? But HS TikTok is Sneeko. So already, if you remember what happened in the Miami nightclub with the Heil Hitler song, Sneeko, you know, the whole crew, Justin Waller, Andrew Tate, Myron, they all threw Sneeko under the bus in that instance, right? Like they all was like, no, it was all Sneeko's fault. He played that song. He's the evil guy in this thing. Okay, he's the one who's anti-Semitic. We're all cool, right? So they already don't like Sneeko, right? So they threw him under the bus. Okay, so again, here you have, you know, but by him saying that in real life streamers, IRL streamers are the most dangerous people on the internet, you know, Sneeko falls under that category. So he's dangerous. Okay, so they don't like him. He's dangerous. And HS TikToky, who probably, you know, he's the one person you kind of say didn't give a fuck about this documentary. Everybody else kind of like jumped up and down. He kind of just, you know, says it as is. But at the same time, is it just because he's a fucking, you know, low IQ? Is it because he's just fucking doesn't give a shit, or is it because, you know, he's also damage control, because he had the whole confrontation about what Louis Theroux is doing on the documentary, right? Like everybody else is trying to do damage control post documentary. HS TikTok is the only one who done the damage control while the documentary was still happening. Like that's the funniest part about it all. But you know, he's now trying to shift the blame to divide, you know, to separate himself away from the in real life streamers like Sneeko and HS TikToky, and be like, no, look, those people are bad. That is the most dangerous type of content, right? What I'm doing and what the Tates are doing is good. So this is a propaganda piece. Again, he's in damage control. He is trying to whitewash his reputation. He's trying to separate himself from the other people within that documentary.
Furthermore, if you were to put the documentary aside and go watch what I post on my channels, I don't even talk about women.
So now he's like just selling. He's like, look, don't watch the Netflix documentary, just come to my channel and watch me, please. Like he's trying to just you know, say like, hey, I'm not misogynist. Look, listen to the empowering stuff that I say. I'm trying to help young men, right? Which is what the whole thing is, right? Because the more they help young men, the more young men are willing to fucking sign up to Hustlers University, right? The real world Andrew Tate's university online course that he's trying to push. You know, again, this is now a marketing piece. Like I'm not hearing, you know, any real new information. All I'm hearing is him marketing himself, his business, to try and make more money off of the attention post documentary.
Ever. So it's always the case that if I'm going to get a big media outlet to cover me, they want to talk about women, my view and how I live my life around women and family.
I don't think that's true, right? Like a lot of the fucking content that they do is about women. I mean, you know, like if you just fucking go into Google, right? Like, let me try it now. Okay, so if we just go on to, let's say, I open up YouTube on my phone, and if I put in Justin Waller, Justin Waller woman, right? Justin Waller on how to approach women. Justin Waller on why young men need to not date women. Justin Waller reveals the secret to dating women. Wonderful women make it all worth it. Justin Waller explains why women lose respect. Why all men must learn female nature. Justin Waller, rapid fire 7 tips to get women. Like a lot of his content online is about fucking women, right? So and a lot of the reasons why people would follow this guy is because of the fucking, you know, promises that they make. There's like, I'll become super wealthy, and then loads of women will date you. Okay. But you know, so for him to say this, you know, he's trying to whitewash his reputation because he's already lost his fucking YouTube account one time already, right? So he does not have the best brand outside of the Manosphere.
Because it's really, Louis not interested in the fact that I grew up in a trailer park or that I overcame a violence.
That doesn't matter. Like if you like I mean, look, I mean, let's think about true misogyny, okay? Like let's talk about true misogyny, right? Not just saying mean things to women, right? Like the worst type of misogyny is beating women, right? Like, and I think most people, right, like most normal guys, they'll be like, yeah, okay, like, you know, you shouldn't hit a woman, right? Because everybody knows, like an average man compared to an average woman, a man is physically stronger than him, okay? So it's not a fair fight from the get-go, right? And then him to come and say like you know, that he, you know, the way that what he is trying to say, that was what I was trying to thought there. Hang on, let me just play this.
Home and a custom.
Yeah, okay. so everybody kind of agrees that, you know, if he was to hit a woman, it's bad, right? So you know, what has that type of misogyny, okay, got to do with him living in a trailer park? Like it's two different things. Like okay, like you paint yourself out to be a bit of a pig online. You know, just because you grew up in a trailer park, does that excuse your behavior? Okay, because you know he's now also just, you know, okay, if he came from a rough environment, if he didn't have the best role models, right, and then he's got all these, you know, horrible views about people, but then he blames it on his upbringing in because he was a, you know, came from a trailer park. Right, I'm sorry, but you also, your net worth is like over 20 million. Like, I'm surely you could fucking afford therapy to sort yourself out. If you're, you know, if you're that upset, the fact that Louis Theroux didn't recognize the fact that you're from a trailer park, the two things got nothing to do with each other. Okay, again, he's now trying to play victim and sympathize, get sympathy from his audience. Be like, oh, I grew up in a trailer park. It was so horrible. My life was so horrible. I had to become a fucking misogynist. It's like, it is so bad out here. Like, I grew up in a fucking trailer park. You know, it is, the two things are different, right? And you kind of, when you're hearing these people, like because if you just watch it and he goes, yeah, oh, I grew up in a trailer park, and then Louis Theroux never discussed it on the documentary, you'd be like, yeah, man, like that's actually a horrible thing to do. You have to understand why he's doing it. It is to try to gain sympathy from you, to then try to make himself look good so that his reputation isn't damaged.
Court battle and like didn't get to see my dad, and
like, okay, like he says he didn't get to see his dad, like, oh, that's so horrible. You know, like maybe your dad wasn't a great role model. Like maybe it was a good thing that you didn't actually see your fucking dad. No, like a lot of people want to, you know, paint themselves out to be a victim. You know, they always tell their big sob story, and then they're like, oh, like, yeah, I had such a hard upbringing, my life was so hard, but then I overcome it and my life was good. But now I'm always going to mention my horrible backstory. It's like, look, man, there are people out there who have horrible lives. Okay, there are people who have horrible circumstances, and you know, if you're going through it right now, you know, my heart goes out to you. But you know, if you're somebody who survived it, you know, great, you can be an inspiration for people. But also, it's like, you know, like don't try to get sympathy votes from it either, right? Because you're somebody who's not going through it anymore. You overcame it. Okay, you're an inspiration, good for you. But you're also like, let's move on. All right, let's rein it in a little bit.
we had to meet at the police department just to go from one parent to the other because of how bad and how I was able to like get out there and start hanging steel all over the country. And now I own real estate. The American dream part of my story.
Like, but the documentary wasn't anything to do with if you are, you know, from a trailer park. The documentary isn't about construction. The documentary isn't about you know, owning real estate. It's not a property documentary. It's about, you know, people in the manosphere and, you know, what they're doing, how they're, you know, conducting themselves in society, and the influence they have on young men. Like, so he's looking for sympathy, but nobody would give a shit because it's not part of the documentary, mate. Like you're like he is now just trying to paint a narrative. He's trying to gain sympathy with the viewers.
Or let's say probably 99% of my life in general.
Yeah.
Louis can't monetize it.
Yeah, because it's not the title of the documentary. Do you know what I mean? Like unless, I mean, if it was only focused on you and the life and times of Justin Waller, you know, from trailer park to, you know, construction tycoon, like, do you get what I mean? Like then it would make sense to look at all these facets of your fucking life, but it's not. So like, why is he even bothered about this? Okay, and remember, he knows that Louis Theroux allegedly has to paint him out to look like a bad person. Like, he's aware of all these things, and now he's clearly upset.
There, like, what gets monetized, man?
I understand.
Fear, anger,
Fear, anger, rage.
That's a game.
Fear, anger, and rage. What gets monetized? Fear, anger, rage. How do you do you think Andrew Tate got famous? How do you think fucking Tristan Tate got famous? How do you think Sneeko, Myron? How do you think Justin Waller himself got famous? Fear, anger, rage. This is the shit that they spread themselves, right? So he's aware of it. He's now saying, you know, Louis Theroux is in the wrong for using it to monetize himself to get famous. But it's a very, very fucking thing that Justin Waller has used to build his own fucking presence online, his status online, okay, to monetize himself online. Like, it's like, okay, what do you want? Do you want the sympathy, or do you want the acknowledgement that you're both two sides of the, you know, two different sides of the same coin? Right, you're both coming at it with, you know, you're on the right, you know, Louis on the left. Okay, he's pushing a certain agenda, you're pushing the agenda for the Tates. It's like you're both just doing two things. So why are you so upset? Why are you so angry? Why do you feel the need to seek therapy to legitimize your concerns?
I knew it was happening,
but I guess,
but he knew what was happening. He's like, why didn't you fucking, you know, tell me? Why didn't you expose the real side of me? Why do you not tell everybody about me living in a fucking trailer park? But at the same time, he also knew what was happening. It's like, you know, like, what do you want? Do you want us to fucking feel sorry for you, or do you want us to acknowledge that you're this, you know, smart savant type guy who knew, you know, who was 3 fucking steps ahead, like a fucking tactical genius who you know, made a situation, you know, a good out of a, you know, potential bad situation? Like, do you want the reward for being smart, for knowing what's going to happen, or do you want to feel sorry for you for your hard upbringing that didn't get mentioned once in the documentary?
That really does get at the heart of it, is that the unwillingness to really look at what's going on for men and to examine on a simple level, just to say their pain, like just to look at their pain, look at what happened to them, and because it's just, I would say that Louis is just perpetuating the very thing, because in a refusal to see you or to show the more vulnerable side of you,
like, but what vulnerable side? Like, the vulnerable side would be like, yeah, I had a hard upbringing, I overcame it, and now, you know, like I get to live like, you know, this baller lifestyle. Like that you can't have the two things side by side. Like, do you want to feel sorry for you, or do you want to be inspirational? Like, do you get what I mean? Like, okay, great, you overcame all these hard things, people can relate to you, and then that can inspire those people who find themselves in a similar situation. But it's like, okay, like, pick your lane, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you want to be part of a Manosphere documentary, or do you want to be a documentary about your inspiring life? Because at the end of the day, like, this guy's got enough money that he could hire a fucking team and post out his own content and make a whole documentary about his own life, right? A 2-3 hour fucking 3-4 part series, whatever he fucking wants to do, 4 hours long, right? He could spend the amount of money. He could probably pay fucking Louis Theroux to do the documentary himself and post it for free on YouTube, which will gain millions of views, right? That is what he wants to do, but he doesn't want to do it. He just wants the recognition from other people.
He's actually reinforcing the Manosphere's narrative that nobody cares about men. Nobody cares.
Yeah, I mean, you know, nobody cares about men because, you know, when you care about men, then on the other side of it, you know, women are seen to be losing out, right? Because, you know, the thing is, right, like, if you have strong, healthy, you know, cooperative men who contribute towards society, who help build up society, who produce in society, who make society better, increase the economic output of society, okay, and you have men who, right, are also, you know, starting families, getting married, you know, having kids. You know, if you have all these things, and helping men become, you know, fathers and husbands, right, like that should be the contribution from society to move from young men to, you know, young boys to young men, to healthy, adult men, right? So that they can be better fathers and better husbands. Because when you have a society that is run like that, then women benefit because, you know, wouldn't a woman want to marry a good husband, a man who could potentially be a good husband, right? So instead of, you know, focusing on women being independent, then that those resources get taken away, and then, you know, like but both sides of the people, you know, women and men lose out. You know, society is not engineered to do that, right? Like I think if we did pull all our resources into helping young men, women would naturally benefit as well. Okay. Um, but society doesn't see that point. I mean, to understand that point, you'd have, you know, you need to have this real nuanced discussion, and, you know, the people who sit on the other side of that fence or the other side of the argument, they'll be like, you know, but there are also some men who are fucking domestic abusers, right? Like, what if a woman is trapped in a marriage, you know, and you know, her husband's beating her? Like we need to save those women, that, you know, they need rights. You know, because if you can't understand the dynamics and, you know, and ways to kind of catch those situations in society, right, then, you know, if we can't have those honest conversations, like, the whole rhetoric falls apart, and we never even get past, you know, the start of the conversation, right? Because both sides of the, you know, are just willing to just, you know, talk about their pain. Both sides are just trying to, you know, have their views heard, you know, and they don't really want to acknowledge what the other person, the other side, has to say.
Cares about their pain,
I
and
don't-
that the only way out of it is just to make a lot of money, succeed, have the nice car, like that's
Yeah. I mean, you know, I mean, ideally, you know, most people can't all be wealthy. Most people can't have a nice car. Most people won't achieve all that, right? Which is why, again, it's like, you know, I'm only focusing on helping the people who I fuck with. Do you go with me? The people I'm friends with, the people who share similar type of values and beliefs as I do, because I don't believe that everybody in the world can be saved. Okay, I do believe we are at a stage now. It's like, nah, because we can't have an honest conversation and have the ability to hear everybody's point, okay, acknowledge everybody's point, to see, you know, everybody's viewpoint from, you know, we can't have this intelligent conversation where we all have an honest debate, where we can share ideas, and without the other side, you know, calling you a fucking Nazi, you know, calling you a misogynist, right? Because we can't do that, the world will never get fixed. And, you know, the world can never get fixed because the system is broken, right? And, you know, because the world can never be fixed because the system is broken, the system can't be fixed. The people who are in charge of the system, they know that the system is broken, but they're not smart enough. They have no idea what they themselves are doing. They're just using the system to siphon money for themselves. Okay. And once you realize all this bullshit is happening, then you're like, okay, look, man, like you can just help yourself. You can only help yourself. You can help the people who want to join you. You can help the people who understand what, you know, and want to be part of what the fuck you're doing, which is why I am sending out the bat signal. I'm trying to find like my group of people to build a kingdom with, to you know, help each other out so that we can have this alliance, a future of Lion of Kings that I'm building, right? That we can come together and fucking have, you know, an alternative viewpoint, where we can have this alternative worldview, where we can come together and maybe come up with a new system, right? Because if the world is going to shit, if the world is fucked, we might as well come together and try to save the world with, you know, and try our best. And in the day, it's all about trying your best. It's all about you know, achieving success and helping humanity, right? But because we have first mover advantage, it is our right to, you know, be the ultimate rulers of the earth.
the route out.
It's generally done in extremes, right?
Yeah,
Louis, Pierce Morgan,
yeah.
and by the
Same.
way, I was about to rip Pierce. He's lucky. He is so fucking lucky.
I mean, you know, like when you make a threat about somebody and they're not in the room, it's like it's very fucking soft, isn't it? It's like, oh no, Piers Morgan's so lucky I wasn't in the room, man. Because I like, well, what I would have fucking done is like, you know, I would have fucking smashed him up, innit? Like, because I would have fucking proper knocked him out. It's like you can't chat shit about somebody when they're not in the fucking room. Like, you can't say what you would have done, right? Like, you can, like, I mean, because he's obviously gossiping about Louis Theroux anyway, which is fine. You do that, but you can't then be like, oh, but if, you know, if I was in the room, you know, with Piers Morgan, I would have done this, I would have done that. It's like, but you didn't, bro. You didn't. Okay, you're on the internet. Like, if Justin Waller wants to get onto, you know, the Piers Morgan show, it's very easy for him to do it, right? Because Andrew Tate, you know, he has been on that show like 2 or 3 times, I believe, right? I'm sure, you know, he's got the, you know, media channels to go and, you know, be on the Piers Morgan show, right? It's very easy for him to get spot on that show, but you know, he doesn't do it, right? Because he doesn't want that smoke. He doesn't want to have that confrontation. He'd rather just feel, you know, he, in the comfort of his own home, say and tell you what he would have done instead of actually doing anything and, you know, taking the opportunity to be on that show.
That HS Tiki Taki kid got him before I did.
Yeah.
Because what Tiki Taki did to him, I was ready to unload on him 10x. And here's why.
So then, right, like obviously, because like if you've seen that clip, basically, HS Tikitoki goes online. He asks him about obviously Jeffrey Epstein. He asks him about why his wife is cucking him in public on Instagram, right? By, you know, making, you know, I mean, what was the right word? Making ignorant, stupid fucking comments, you know, flirting, hinting at flirting with other men, you know, basically, you know, painting himself, their relationship out to be quite bad. Disrespect, that's the word I was looking for. It was very disrespectful towards Piers Morgan, right? And he's saying like, oh, what I would have done, but just TikTok got that first, so there's no point me doing it now. It's like, no, you're just trying to take credit where somebody else has fucking done.
He was going to attack me for my relationship structure. But he's also the same man that defends homosexuals, which I also defend homosexuals. So how can he get behind homosexuals when they're being honest? In fact, they go so far as to make them heroes. They're brave. They'll put flags on churches for them. But if I come out and I say that I want to love my wife, be a good father, tuck my children in, be at home with my kids, teach them, grow them, and I might have a girlfriend or two, and my wife might help me, that's somehow I'm the villain. Yeah. When he himself is in a relationship much like mine, except his wife is me and he's my wife.
Yeah.
So, and you'll notice I'm not trying to make fun of him.
He so wants to make fun of him. He so badly wants to make fun of him, but he doesn't, because it's a very clever little argument, because he's basically saying like, look, man, like you're the bitch in the relationship, which is why your wife is fucking other guys. I'm like your wife. I'm fucking multiple women, right? But I'm also, you know, like I'm living an ulterior lifestyle, just like the homosexuals. So, and you're kind of kink shaming me for having a, you know, polygamous relationship, right? That I'm, you know, I'm living a life of polygamy with, you know, multiple women. My wife is happy with it. She sometimes joins in, you know, we have fucking threesomes. I think it's fine, like, do you know what I mean, like but the problem kind of is that the way he says it is to brag. It's like, look, man, I'm all for, you know, you guys having multiple relationships, right? That you having a harem of women, but you also have to remember is like you kind of have to, like, you can never brag about it. Like it's an unwritten rule. It's not cool to brag about it. Okay, it's for, you know, because some women are okay with to be in a polygamous relationship, polygamous relationship, to share, you know, her man with multiple women, but you know, it's also a thing other women can shame that woman for doing, right? Like, so and women are real bitches towards each other, so you know, you got to protect the women, especially the women in polygamous relationships. If she's not comfortable handling that smoke, you know, then you kind of got to keep it under wraps for her, right? You got to give her her own respect. Sometimes the best way to structure a polygamous relationship is by, you know, each woman that you're dating, you know, to have children with her, okay, to give her her own house, and for you to split your time equally between each household, okay. That way, you know, the woman gets a safe face if she's not comfortable with openly, you know, being in this polygamous relationship, because many people feel most of society is too dumb to fucking understand. At the end of the day, that is what it is. But I like the fact that, you know, he would have had this great little spiel to try and trick, like, get one over on Piers Morgan.
I accept Piers.
Pointing out the contradiction.
I accept Piers. Like, I accept your cuckoldry. Like, you know, I am all for it. You know, go. You know, you deserve to have, you know, cuckold month. you know, that we I'm not kink shaming you, okay? Like, he is in solidarity, you know. He's basically literally saying that, Piers, you're the bitch in your relationship, right? That you are the one, and I'm not shaming you for it, Piers, right? So that is how he's saying he would have handled it. But all right, I think that is it for today. Thank you for watching, and you know, I will see you tomorrow.